Hey there, how y'all doing? Data on trail here.
Kind of thought I'd have the trails this far away from the lodge all to myself today, but it is a Saturday, and like I said, it's one of the first nice days we've had in several weeks. So, well, it looks like there are some other folks out stretching their legs on these paths, even this far away from the lodge. So I've got my base weight down to about 20 pounds, or maybe 21. And that's with a full winter gear too, so raincoat, rain pants, some down stuff to sleep in, stuff like that. And fully loaded with 2 liters of water and a 4-day food carry. Today I came in at 28 pounds. When I go to hit the trail, it'll probably be more like 30. There's a few things I don't have with me today just because I don't really need them on this hike. Like, I don't have coffee, and I didn't bring the rain pants themselves, just the raincoat. But I am enjoying using Shakedown hikes to both get myself in a little bit better trail shape. As small as these ups and downs are, they're better than hiking the flat trails around the state forest preserves or the Kane County Forest Preserves, where I usually try to get training in. So it's more of a workout than that for sure. But it's also been good to test gear. Like, I'm not carrying micro spikes, and I don't own any, but a guy just did go sailing by me kind of quickly, and sure enough, that was partly because he had micro spikes on. So I don't think I'll buy any, but I certainly could see the utility of them in these conditions firsthand. It's also the first Shakedown hike I've done of any length with a fully loaded version of my new REI Flash Air 50 pack in a medium. And my wintertime gear load fits in it perfectly, but there is no spare space. So that was a revelation to me, which was fine. That's why I went down from a 55 liter to a 50 liter. But the medium torso and the REI Air Flashes support, the internal frame on it is built out of a piece of spring steel. So it's, for lack of a better word, it's bouncier than the REI Flash 55 was. And it seems to ride a lot more comfortably. Now, I don't know if that's because it's 5 liters smaller. I am carrying about the same amount of weight as I did in the 55, and I don't have any spare space like I did in the 55. So I don't know if it's just that it's a pound lighter, which I'm sure doesn't hurt anything, or 2 pounds actually, as a pack itself, or if it's the spring steel in the internal frame, or if it's the fact that it's a medium instead of large, like my 55 was. But regardless, carrying 28 pounds today seems really easy. Now, I've only been out for an hour or so, but it does fit really nicely. It responds well, it doesn't shift around. So I'm pretty happy with this part of the Shakedown. I've also modified my pack recently so that I have added a couple of pieces of shock cord to my left side down by the waist belt and up on my chest strap, such that I can tie one or both trekking poles to it. So right now, see, it makes it easier to walk on level places and just carry both of the poles, or as I'm doing now, I'm hiking with one pole and filming with the other hand, and I have the pole I'm not using strapped to my pack just under my left arm. So that's a nice modification. And again, credit due there to a couple of different YouTube folks who showed ways to home make your own set of straps for tying your trekking poles under your arm while you hike. That's a really good idea. Now, why in the world pack companies don't just install those 2 pieces of custom shock cord there, I don't know. Osprey does on the day pack that I own. But now I have them on this one, and it's a really nice ad. I've also had an electronics failure already today. Not a critical one, but I'm carrying that thermometer so that I could monitor temperatures as I walked, because I knew it was going to be warming up all day, and I thought that might be an interesting thing to know. And I can't get it to fire up. I think I might have accidentally left it turned on, so it might just be a dead battery, but evidently I still have a lot to learn about how to use such a simple little piece of electronics as a thermometer. Other than that, this has been a good test also, now that I think about it, of my Hoka Kaha 2 GTX mid-rise hiking boots. I've hiked in them a lot, but not out in the hilly terrain, and not with a fully loaded pack on. So I was concerned that, especially on downhill sections, since I've always hiked in trail runners, that the higher rise part of the back of the mid-rise boot would bang into my Achilles and either irritate it or irritate my historic issues with plantar fasciitis on my right heel. And so far today, I haven't had a problem with either of those two things, and I've been very glad for all the additional support. As my ankle slips and slides around a little, or where my foot slips and slides around a little bit in these kind of slippery and sometimes icy and sometimes wet conditions. Starved Rock State Park is one of those geological features that was formed when the last ice age ended. The glaciers, I think this is part of the Wisconsin glacial age. This is where the glaciers stopped, and then as they receded all throughout the Midwest, they've left these deep gouges in rock that is predominantly sandstone, much of which was pushed down here by the glaciers. And occasionally those same glaciers ran into pre-existing, much older deposits of quartzite or granite or something that also helped to shape where they could go and the route they took when they retreated. But Starved Rock is a nice example of deeply gouged cliffs and ravines and little miniature canyons that are several hundred feet deep running in off of the Illinois River. The same basic geological process that shaped Starved Rock also shaped the state parks in Indiana near where I grew up, down around Terre Haute, Indiana, at places called Shades State Park and Turkey Run State Park. And the same phenomenon runs up north of us into Wisconsin at a state park that I've hiked through with a pack on as a training hike. That's a part of the Ice Age Trail, and the state park is called Devil's Lake. And there are several other formations around there, but Devil's Lake in particular is gorgeous. And again, it's a geological structure, a geographic structure constructed by the same, or shaped by the same forces of glacial erosion that built the canyons you're looking at here. I'll try to figure out which canyon this is and put a label on the video. I want to say Wildcat Canyon, but I'm not sure that that's it. There are several others of these that are even further to the east of where I am at now that I won't hike to today. But hikers of the Appalachian Trail will note that there are plenty of little roots and rocks to climb through on these trails. And when it warms up, this trail can get really muddy. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that on camera or not, but there's a waterfall at the north end of this canyon. You can see it through the trees there. The big mass of white is all one big long series of waterfalls frozen over this winter. You can probably hear at the top there's a road running over it that is a county road that gives folks access to the state park and connects it with Ottawa, Illinois, which is just to the east of this. That's a little bit better view, maybe. I personally think this is a really nice park in the wintertime, partly because it doesn't have nearly as many people in it. So Starved Rock is located about 3 hours or 2.5 hours to the west of Chicago, and it is rumored to be the most popularly visited state park in Illinois. It's not as close to Chicago as Rock Cut State Park is, but it gets more visitors because I think there's a highway closer to this and it's maybe easier to find and has some more interesting amenities. And certainly in terms of geographic features, it has a little bit more. Oh, here we go. This is called Hennepin Canyon. My goal for today's hike is to go 3 miles out and then back, or a little bit more than that, because part of my training strategy that I've settled on is to try to hike 7 miles, actually 7.5 miles each day between now and when I head to trail at the beginning of March. My first day on trail in March, the hike from where I'm starting to the first shelter is about 7.7 miles or so, plus or minus half a mile. And the next shelter is another like 13 miles beyond that. So I'm hoping that if I practice at this distance every day for the next month, sometimes just on the city streets or in the parks around me, sometimes out here at Starved Rock or at other more challenging trails, that will help get me in shape to at least not die the first day on trail. I have consistently had a problem the first night on trail whenever my legs aren't in decent shape, and I get really bad cramps. And part of that's not drinking enough liquids during the day, not having enough electrolytes. Part of it's hiking too far. Part of it's not changing into my camp clothes fast enough. But It's been the only real kind of debilitating physical challenge I've run into since I started hiking the AT last year. So I'm hoping this additional conditioning and the practice and the shakedown hikes will help me avoid a repeat of that when I head out on trail here in March.
Happy trails to all of you.